Understanding Romans 5 verse 7. For scarcely for a righteous man will one die. Yet peradventure for a good man some would even dare to die. Paul is establishing in this verse that a man won't have certainty that another person would die or suffer on his behalf. The subliminal message was that sinners would not willingly die for lesser sinners. This is not condemning us, but simply saying all have sinned. Knowing our unrighteousness leads to understanding God's love, as Paul will explain further. He said, God who is righteous commendeth his love toward us, in that, while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. The statement is not for us to feel guilty, but simply stating we will not understand life if Jesus will not lose his life for our sake, and that he will be raised again. So love is not without understanding God first. Remember, we were born sinners due to Adam's sin. And despite God's judgment through the flood, man still rebelled by building a tower of their religion. Thus, God gave Gentiles to uncleanness, and only until Paul, the due-time apostle, that God is reconciling the world to himself by the death of his son Jesus. You see, Gentiles were enemies of God, while Israel is God's people. But Israel fell when they stoned Stephen, and God is now calling Gentiles as his people once we believe Paul's gospel. After you believed, you were saved and became a new creature according to the mystery revealed to Paul. No longer Israel, no longer enemy. God is establishing you in Paul's gospel, but there's a problem. Our flesh is trying to bring us back to the bondage of religion using the covenants and law for Israel. The scripture written to the castaway people of God will only revive sin in us. Our obedience today, despite Paul's absence, is to rightly divide the word of truth, to separate the promises to Israel from Paul's doctrine. God doesn't want you to repeat history in Babel like what Christendom is doing. So what is the love of God that we should understand first? God's love during this dispensation is that we follow Paul. You need to understand that.